3, 2, 1.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Two Trees podcast. If you are expecting the illustrious voice of Mr. Jonathan Dillon, you're in luck because it's coming here in just about a minute or so.
I'm here.
He is here. Rose is not here. She is out boarding up a library. Is that what her text message said?
Or at a library board meeting. Oh. It could mean either.
I always read hers, skim through it and get the highlights of her text messages. So sorry I misinterpreted what you were trying to say there. But anyway, we are here just a few hours before this.
Sorry, I just got a picture of Rose nailing boards across the library.
It is raining and lightning outside, so they might be. But it is just a few hours before this episode is going to go live. And believe it or not, baseball has started. Board meetings have started. We all went out for the weekend together for my wife's birthday. So we're kind of behind on the Mark of Cain, which will be next week's episode, so stick with us. It's more to come.
Yes, there has been an absolute landslide of stuff going on in my ministry. I'm not a full-time podcaster. I am a pastor of a local church called Stillwater Community Church, and God is really blessing us, and that means a lot of extra work for yours truly. So the podcast is a labor of love. It is a place where I get to talk about the things that interest me. And it's been a really awesome way to connect with people. And don't worry, this isn't us signing off. We plan to do this until Martin hates it, and then we will do something else.
Correct.
But no, it's just been, I've been swamped. And so I was going to a baseball game today, got canceled. And so rather than give you nothing, we have a little something for you.
Speaking of labor of love, which is the podcast, absolutely 100% because we do love it, even though it is much laborious for us. Is that a word?
It is now.
Thank you. No, it's really not that big of a deal. We love bringing it to you. And John does 98% of the work. I just sit here and say what comes to my mind, which is pretty easy for
Martin
a guy
goes
like
freestyle.
So, but anyway, another labor of love that John finished up, a couple months ago now, right? 6 months ago? Is that
half a year ago, yeah.
It's funny because it's not yet sold 5 million copies, and I'm not sure why. But either way, John's book, which is The Way of Eden, came out several months ago at this time. We've kind of plugged it here or there. To be honest, we should do more, because when you watch people, you know how annoying they are when they're like, buy my book, do this.
Yeah, and that's one reason that I haven't really plugged it a whole lot is people listen to the podcast. They don't come on to get a commercial for the book.
Yeah, but we do have our sponsors now, and so you think people are getting annoyed with our sponsors, or you think
honestly, I haven't gotten any feedback from any of them.
I know. I need to know if they're good or not, because either way,
I'm assuming they're completely satisfied.
They're still coming
with the product we're providing.
Whether they like it or not, the sponsors will be around at least for season 4 or whatever we're on right now. But anyway, this book that John has written is really, really good. I read 4 books a lifetime, and this was one of them that I decided to read, and I did really enjoy it. If you like the podcast, you're going to love the book, because there's a lot of same ideas that is disclosed in that, but a lot more about John's upbringing and background and where you came from in West Virginia is in there as well. And even if you're not explicitly talking about it, you can tell his background brings into the ideas that are in the book. So it is really a good idea to go and read it. And it's only 50-some pages. So, I gave it to my bailiff at work, and he read it in his lunch break. So you can get it through it. Trust me, you can do it. And it'll be well worth your time to do so. So today, I think John had a wonderful idea as to just read a little bit of his book. I think the introduction or something you're going to go through.
Yeah, I oftentimes will get people ask me if I plan to do an audiobook, and I don't plan to do an audiobook because I have no idea how to do an audiobook. I know that they are done, but I don't know really anything about them. And so it's a super rainy day, and we're behind schedule. And so I thought we'd have story time with Pastor Jon.
John thinks his voice isn't really good enough to be an audiobook.
I wouldn't listen to me. I like other people's voices.
John could make money just doing audiobooks.
This is not about that. This is
because the voice is just so much there. But yeah, and so it's a great day. You can probably hear the storm.
It is dumping outside,
really coming
which is
down
cool
now,
because we've needed it.
So now you can grab some coffee or whatever beverage that you want when you normally sit down and listen to your books, and listen to the introduction of The Way of Eden, brought to you by written, illustrated, and audiobooked. What is that called when you...
I don't know, but Rose edited it. Edited it? Is that proper?
It sounds like you're a dubstep in that. Edited it.
Edited it.
Sandstorm.
Anyway, Rose made it grammatically awesome.
Yeah, edited by Rose.
And the content I bounced off of Martin. Really, this book came about because of conversations that I had with Martin and Rose. And with Kristen and with Jeremy. They're my friends, and we do life together. Like, we just got back from Kentucky celebrating. But a lot of this was me trying to put my thoughts together to explain why I think what I do, because they will both pounce on any little bit of logic that I leave unwrapped up. And so I tried to put my thoughts together in a way that was helpful for them, and then I thought it might be helpful for other people.
And with all that humility set aside, here's Jon going to read the introduction of The Way of Eden. And who knows, I might chime in if I feel like, pouncing on some logic.
Oh, okay.
Go ahead.
My soul was shaped by mountains. The ancient story-soaked slopes of Appalachia will always be not simply the home of my youth, but a force carving both my imagination and the way I experience the world around me. Its swift-flowing streams tumbling down from hidden springs have always called me further up and further in. The rhythm of coal trains singing out of the hollows, the food spread out on tables of country churches, the rich wordplay of its storytellers, all these have shaped me. Appalachia is not a place of constant sunshine and joy, though it has these in abundance. Deep shadow and sorrow are at home here. The slopes, covered in rhododendron and mountain laurel, shady valleys where the sun is a rare visitor, and introspection and contemplation are as natural as the ferns which blanket the forest floor. The music and the stories of its people bear the battle scars of the violence, poverty, and prejudice that have twisted their way into the mountains, like poison ivy snaking its way up the trunks of the mountain oaks. The ivy may have covered their trunks, yet the oak branches still reach for the sun. A story of victory in the face of adversity, and the power of longing and hope written in its soil and leaves. My own childhood was a blessing. Loving parents raised my siblings and me in a book-filled home where laughter and scripture were fixtures of life. Yet even in the Garden of Eden, a serpent lurked in the trees. For me, that serpent was named depression, and I have heard its whispers all my life. I have never vanquished it or been able to simply leave it behind. It follows me like a hound in the dark, and despite the well-meaning bits of advice sweet-hearted folks have offered over the years, I feel its presence still. Just cheer up, as though it was a switch to be flipped on and off. Like a patient with a deep cut, willpower alone will not stop the bleeding. It must be cleaned, bound, and protected so that time and nature can stitch it closed. Once the wound heals, blood will no longer pour out, but there will be scars left to mark the experience. I have never cured my depression. I fight it. At times, I have pushed it far away, but the battle always continues. Discussing it as something to be cured has simply never described the way I experience depression. It requires constant warfare, purposeful acts of resistance, and being fully aware that the Lord is with me. My foe cannot drive him from my side. Should the Lord wish it, I do not doubt depression would flee. Indeed, I long for the day when, safe in the mountains of the world to come, it will not darken my mind. But I am not yet removed from the front lines. The battle rages around me, and I must hold my ground. The way Scripture describes our struggle against evil and the effects of sin resonates deep within my heart. The fiery darts of the wicked one are not simply something to be endured, but something to be resisted. I raise the shield of faith and face the foe. As a young man, I found the ritual of fly fishing to be a powerful weapon to wield. Slipping silently through the woods, I was drawn to the dark pools where the beauty of a watery world waited to be discovered. The jewel-like colors of rainbow trout and the hypnotic green maze of a brook trout's back are to me like echoes of the kingdom of heaven, expressions of his beauty and creativity. The act of casting a tiny hook into the water's current, hoping to touch a world to which I was a stranger, narrowed the worries of life to a simple act of hope and joy. I know of no one who prays with the passion and focus of a fisherman who sees a trout rise to inspect his fly as it sits perched on the water. To struggle with depression is not a passive thing, though it may appear to be so. Walking the dog when I want to sit and sulk, getting out of bed and brewing coffee, countless other small tasks can become purposeful acts of resistance to an enemy that seeks to bind me in chains of sorrow, fear, paranoia, and immobility. They become acts of worship and loyalty as I seek to honor my King and resist the fire of the enemy. Others I have spoken to avoid their worries through constant busyness and puttering. In order to fight the foe, they force themselves to rest, to lie down in green pastures. The actions seem to be unalike, but are in reality twins. There is no one-size-fits-all, no cookie-cutter method with guaranteed results, just a calling to resist the enemy, to image God in a world that is twisted and broken. I do not believe this technique of intentional acts of resistance to be unique to those who struggle with depression, but it applies to all those who fight against the kingdom of darkness. It is the motive behind fasting, the rhythm of communion, and the poetry of baptism. Not a magic spell that banishes problems, but acts of war against an enemy who will not leave us alone. We are a generation who delights in grand gestures and quick results, but there is a power in longing, in faithful hope, a power as old as the Garden of Eden.
Well, if that don't get you ready to buy a book, I don't know what will, John, to be honest with you.
Well, that was my hope. I'm just trying to describe my struggle with depression and the idea of resistance as worship. It isn't just something that is done for my benefit, but when I take hold against the darkness around me and I push back, whether that's through gardening or podcasting or volunteering or being salt and light, as Scripture says, those are moments where you are imaging God well. And so that's what the book is about how we can resist the darkness, not through massive efforts of, $1 million building projects or massive, world-changing events, but through constant faithfulness.
Yeah, and, if you look back, one of the hopes that I have looking back over the last 3.5 years that we've been doing this is that you'll see a constant, I guess, like motive that we have or a constant idea that we're trying to push that is that same thing. We've been coming at it every week for the most part, skip one here or there when we get busy, but the idea is that just this constant push towards the darkness. I remember the first time you brought that up in my presence was at a baptism. And that's what you mentioned there in the introduction, the poetry of baptism. And it's just that idea that you are declaring you're joining the fight to push back and resist against the darkness. We talked with Carmen Imes a couple years ago about what it means to bear the name of Christ and how to push that when Jesus himself says, take up your cross and start walking, basically, like let's go, let's move, let's push back. Paul uses so much imagery of like the front lines being, like Pastor Mark just said the other week, how it's like the front line, the offensive line of a team. And it's like you don't want to be, beautiful. You don't want to be the guy, the spotlight guy that comes in, but it's to hold fast. It's to set your mark and to push forward. Or was that you that said that? Maybe that was you that said that yesterday.
I said that in my sermon, but he may have done it too.
You too.
Mark is an incredible man. He's got good stuff going on over there.
Sorry, I've been listening to Mark too. But
he's got that Kentucky wisdom now.
Yeah, exactly. So, but anyway, it's just that idea where it's just we're holding fast, we're pushing forward. And so, again, if you struggle with the same thing that John does or the complete opposite thing that John does, it doesn't really matter. This applies to everybody, every walk of life, every facet of your imagination can be utilized towards a lot of the things that you talk about in the book as well. So that's great. You're using your own personal stuff, like I said before, you're growing up and the depression that you deal with, but also you can apply this to everyone's life across the board. And that's what the Bible is too. You know, the Bible works for you the same way it does for me. It helps me become a better person and be more Christ-like so we can extend the kingdom. So again, if you haven't got Jon's book, go to Amazon, type in The Way of Eden. It'll come up. It's a nice little book, about 50-some pages.
Yeah, if it's been a blessing to you, please leave me a review. I had somebody leave me a 1-star review because they are a blessing, and so I'm kind of pushing back against that. I had a good time writing it, and if no one ever does, it's okay. But it would mean a lot to me.
Yeah, order it. I mean, be honest. I'm not trying to sell you. I know it sounds like I'm selling you because I want Jon to get some credit for this because he did put a lot of effort into it, a lot of time, and it's a great book. I can say that because I read, like I said, 4 books a lifetime. So if I'm telling you it's a good book, it's a good book. You can trust my opinion. That kind of sounds bad, like I'm downing myself.
No, people know you. They know what's up.
4 books is, probably an overshot for how many I've
the
actually
Berenstein
read.
Bears are must-reads.
But anyway, go and get you a copy. It's a couple bucks out of your wallet to get a copy, read it, and then give it to your friends so they can read it.
Yeah, I wanted the book to be really short. That was on purpose because many people, especially of my ilk, we like gigantic books.
Right.
And so when I then hand somebody something that's like 5,000 pages long in multiple volumes, they're not going to read it.
Right.
And I pastor in a place that is farm country. And I wanted something that was approachable and that people wouldn't run away from when they saw it.
Right.
What I have got is that people wish there was more. And so I'm kind of working on doing that for them. But as of right now, this is what I have to offer. And I hope that it's a blessing.
Yeah, it definitely was for me. So go out and get yourself a copy and come back next week where we're going to talk a little bit more about what we have been talking about moving forward with Cain, the mark of Cain that's coming up. So I actually read a little bit before, so maybe I'll be able to contribute next week.
Oh, you'll always contribute.
Come on,
yeah, we're going
on
to talk
back.
about Cain, but really what we're going to talk about is that Jesus is the God of gods, the Lord of lords, mighty and awesome.